to bring and pin C. Megan Michael. A lot of us know her already from her wonderful group, High Vibrational Mastery. So C. Megan, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you for having me as your guest today. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, we're really excited to hear your story. Now, I know that you've done a lot of work on yourself, a lot of spiritual work. You're a psychic medium. And aren't you also, you work with energy as well?
I do. I do a lot of things, but I do psychic readings. I do energetic cord removals and trance healing. As you know, I host events. And
yes, you're a wonderful hostess.
You've been my guest, as a matter of fact, a few times. I think you're amazing. And that honestly, I love hosting because I'm very drawn to, I just know my soul tells me that this is the person, right? And I haven't been doing the interviews recently. I did them for like 2 years. And I have a lot of them on my YouTube channel. And then there's some more that I still have. Anyway, I'm kind of nervous, just so you know.
Oh, that's okay. I know it's different when you're not like in control, right? Or you're not directing but we just want to hear anything you would like to share with us about your journey, because a lot of people don't know some of your, diagnosis that you had and how the power of your soul was able to heal yourself.
Yes. Yeah. First, before I go into the journey about cancer, and I will definitely, but I have to address the things. Remember, I told you that there's different, layers of my journey, different things that we've healed. I needed to hear what April was right before me, right?
Yes,
was talking about. First of all, by the way, this is my Sony that you recommended when you read for me, and you told me I'm writing a book, and I went and I bought it with a little earpiece and the case and everything. Although honestly, I think the other thing sounds like a great idea.
It's a little easier. Are you like me? Like I have a great Sony too, but I'm not good with technology.
Well, I am good with technology, but I still think I'm going to give that other thing a shot with Google Docs. I think she was saying, but interestingly, like she mentions several things about diagnosis, like mental illness and anxiety and stuff like that. That's also been a big part of my journey that I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, now that I realize that there's other people who have suffered and been labeled and diagnosed with mental illness and disorders of the mind and stuff like that, and believe that they were crazy. I'm not saying that she thought she was, but in what she was saying, obviously it's much more common. This was something for me that I didn't talk about. And so I'm literally just, I think, saying it now for the first time. But I spent a lot of years of my life, like from 7th grade until maybe when I was close to 50, thinking that there was something wrong with me. I had many labels, bipolar disorder, ADHD, of course, because I have a lot of energy, right? Well, that must be a disease then. Let's give it a label. Yeah. And so I did that. I went through that and went through a lot of doctors and things like that and medication. And I don't take any medication anymore. I'm just going to breeze through this part because it isn't where I planned on focusing. But I really want to address how important it is, because now that I realize, like April was saying, there's other people out there that think they're crazy or that suffer from these things. And then you get into this thing like you're disabled, and then you believe it. You believe you're disabled. Spirit's coming in right now and agreeing with me. And then you believe you're disabled. So then you live that life of that disabled person. Those labels don't serve anybody.
Exactly. Because thoughts are things and they leave impressions on us. So it's so important to lift each other up, because we never know what people are going through or thinking. So it's so important to be kind, especially in groups like this.
I'll share something that I've never shared publicly, that I spend time in and out of psychiatric hospitals that I put myself in because I didn't know how to function in the world. And so I would go through these suicidal depressions, and it was sometimes I realized, I know, and I was aware of it at the time too, but I just didn't know what to do, or I just needed help and I didn't know how else to get help. Although those hospital stays never helped me, but it was something, I was reaching, I was looking, I was searching, and so I would say, well, this is how I'm feeling right now. And then they'd admit me for 72 hours or whatever for observation. And And I never felt like I fit in there either, by the way. I never felt like I belonged there. I just didn't know I belonged anywhere. I felt like I didn't belong on this planet. Exactly. And so I spent a lot of years, I mean, I am the queen of high vibrational mastery. Doesn't mean that I'm always happy. I'm certainly not. But that is my whole thing. That's the foundation of everything that I do is the law of attraction. Abraham's teachings were the first and they're still resonating with me to this day. I still listen to Abraham pretty much daily. Of course, I channel my own information as well. But I just think it's so important that we honor ourselves and that we stop looking for some authority figure somebody external outside of ourselves to give us a label to make sense of who we are. And I really feel like we're moving into this time now when that's not even going to be a thing anymore. But for now, it's still a thing to some. And there is such a stigma attached to mental illness. It's the reason that I never wanted to talk about it. So it was divine timing that April was here right before me, bringing this up right now while I'm listening. Thank you, April.
Yes. Well, yeah, it impacts so many mediums' lives. I know my grandmother was diagnosed with that as well. So I never wanted to come out and said I had problems with anxiety, like debilitating anxiety when I was younger, because I didn't want to be labeled like, oh, you're like your grandmother or you're like so-and-so. So we have to be able to lift ourselves and each other up. So where we don't need outside validation, we don't need anybody to validate us. It's very important to trust,
Yes, it is.
Share what you're doing now is going to help heal a lot of people. So I thank you for being so open and honest.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for giving me the platform to do it and the safe space and the beautiful energy. And so I've been through a lot in this incarnation. In this one incarnation, I've overcome a lot of trauma, and Spirit told me that after 50, it's a breeze. And literally I had stage 4 lymphoma after I was 50, but that was nothing compared to the first part of my life. But it's really important though. And I do really feel like talking about it right now. So I survived years of 4 marriages and narcissistic abuse. And I don't call it that anymore, by the way. I'm labeling it only so I can express these situations without having to go into any detail. Manipulative people, you're a doormat, you want to please, they want to, blah, 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 blah. That thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was a role. I didn't know I was playing the victim. I didn't know I had choices. I thought I was that. I thought I was a mentally ill victim, for a long time. Yeah. And then I attracted people into my life as partners that would validate that for me over and over again, including my mother. God bless her. I love my mom. She's in spirit now. We are very close. Okay. This is that way. You can't really see it, but Debbie made that for me.
Beautiful.
My mom. And we were very close the last few years of her life, but most of my life we were not. She was extremely domineering and didn't ask in my opinion. I didn't even know who I was until I started to find myself again after 50. So fast forward to 2014, I had been in an 8-year extremely toxic relationship, not blaming anybody at this point. I used to blame. Now I don't blame because I chose that. But anyway, it was a life or death situation and I had to leave. So I literally had 2 boxes, throw it out or take it with me. And I knew I only could take a few things in a backpack and maybe 1 or 2 other, whatever. So I took my desktop computer, love this, my computer. Thank you. And what else? Some crystals. Yeah. Some of my crystals that I've had for many, many years. Yeah, really, when you really have to scale down, you find out what really matters to you. And it wasn't any of the sentimental things that I had, and anything that made me feel something, I threw it away. I threw away everything. I threw away, I did it, and it felt amazing. It felt freeing. I thought it felt weird at the time I was doing it, but then the more I would throw away, the more I even went through a phase after I moved, I almost wanted to throw things away again because unburdening myself of all those old memories and all the stuff, I just felt so free. So I decided I moved, I secretly planned this, in my room, locked in the room by myself when the other person wasn't around. And I planned an escape. And so I did. And it was, I think, August of 2014. And I wasn't able, and I'm a total animal person. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. They're my world. And I wasn't able to bring the dog that I had. I had to make a choice. And it was the path of least resistance, let's just say, to leave the dog where she was, because I didn't know what was going to go on with my life. And anyway, so I moved to a place I'd never been, in a town I'd never heard of. Well, I didn't hear of before. I looked online and found myself drawn. And I meditated every night, by the way. That's a really important thing. I meditated every night. They gave me clarity. And I wasn't who I was yet. I didn't know about the spiritual life and stuff. I had some crystals and, but I was really confused. And anyone who's experienced a lot of abuse in their life and lived in fight or flight for a long time, like years, that you can get very confused and it actually feels like mental illness. And it probably is in a way, because you're not functioning at a high level. You're in fear. But somehow through the fear, I managed to find a way to get to about 400 miles from where I was and start a new life. And I didn't have any friends or family. I had let go of everybody and everything. I didn't tell anybody I was leaving except the woman that I hardly knew who drove me to where I am. And I had to sell my car because I didn't have the money to pay for it anymore. I mean, I just really started from nothing. So here I am in my new life. And then in 2016, I noticed a lump, and it's like under my rib cage. I didn't even know what organ was over there at the time. Nothing personal, Spleeny, I love you, honey. But I didn't know, that wasn't my thing. And it kept growing, and I made excuses to myself about what it could be or wouldn't be. Anyway, a year later, I worked out, I got an insurance again, and I decided I am going to go find out, because it didn't go away. And it was stage 4 splenic marginal zone lymphoma. And it was also in my bone marrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it was a 29 centimeter tumor. It was a mass, and it was my spleen. My spleen was reaching my bladder. I looked like I was carrying what I used to call an alien baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that, that comes with its own sets of issues. But the first thing, sorry, my camera keeps going out. I have to get a new one. But for now, this is what I've got. So at first, I have an awesome primary care physician who recommended an oncologist locally. I go to this guy's office. And again, I'm not psychic. I don't have psychic friends. I don't have any friends. In fact, I'm completely alone. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die alone with no friends, no family. Oh, by the way, by this time I had adopted 2 dogs and 2 cats. So I had a family. Now I have my family. So hang on, let me ground for a second. I don't talk about this that often. In fact, I forgot the name of the cancer until I wrote it down today. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was what it was called. Because I talk about it, I don't say remission, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here. I don't use the term remission. I'm healthy. I'm not even healed. Right. I'm just healthy. I'm a healthy woman. And so the first doctor that I went to, the oncologist, he wanted to put me on chemo. He didn't even diagnose what kind of cancer that I had. He was just going to start putting me on poison, which I didn't want to take anyway, but I didn't know at the time. And I didn't know yet about healthy eating or binaural beats or all the stuff that I learned. I didn't know about energy work. And so, but I knew not to go to this guy because I knew I'd be dead in 3 months. So I found, thank you, Spirit, another doctor in Orlando Health, an amazing hospital, an amazing doctor. And the one time, and he was, and I knew he was like the best of the best. And my mom was a doctor person. And so here's this doctor who has got all the credentials and stuff and very confident. And I liked him. And I felt good about that. So I thought, okay. And one time I said, Tim, well, I'm going to die anyway. He said, don't ever say that again.
Exactly. Words are things. He knew. He was very spiritual, this man.
Know if he knew that he was, because later, okay, so this is what happened. Yeah, in a way, clearly he was. I was meant to be there, and he was an awesome doctor. I went through 6 months of chemo. I didn't want to do the chemo. I was really done by 3 months, but they tell you that you've got to do this or you're going to croak.
Yes, right.
And Spirit told me, by the way, that I wasn't going to die. They said I'm going to teach from my now perspective. That's what they said. And so I knew I wasn't going to die, but it was very scary. I was very alone. I met my best friend in the universe. Hold on a second. My awesome friend, Diane. I love her so much. She's amazing, because I needed somebody to help me walk my dogs. these beautiful angel dogs that are asking to be walked right now. I needed help. And so when I was going through the chemo, I didn't have enough strength, and they're big, strong dogs, both of them. And so I made this phone call, and this is important because she's absolutely an earth angel. And I had no friends, no family. I'd disconnected from everybody that I ever knew. I didn't give anybody my phone number or my address or even tell anybody I was moving, you know. And then I hear the voice of this angel on the other end of the phone, just the sweetest voice, the most beautiful energy, and ridiculous price, like $10 to each, $10 per walk, you know. And honestly, I asked her about that one day. She goes, "Oh, I don't need the money. I just do this because I love it. I swear." So I met my best friend. And she used to come to walk the dogs because I was so ill. And I would look forward to that one day or 3 days, whatever it was of the week, that she would be able to come over, and I would walk with them. It didn't matter how sick I felt. I walked with them because I was healing just by her energy. So that was really, really significant. She was my first healthy friend that I've ever had. And every time I would say something, because remember, I had spent all these years with people that invalidated me constantly, because that's what I was attracting. But I would say something, like I would open up and I would say something, and then I would cringe. I would cringe because I'm like, she's going to judge me now. She's going to judge me. She's going to say something. Not once, not in all these years now. We're still friends. She's never once judged anything I said or say, or told me how to live my life better than I'm living it, or tried to rescue me either. You know, it's never been that. And my friendship with her has really helped to transform my life. And that's really important.
Yeah, that love connection. But Megan, I have to point out too, you're never alone. Now you're never alone. You always had angels and guides surrounding you, and your animals too. The beautiful energy from our pets. That is unconditional love, the most powerful unconditional love.
The loves of my life. My dogs and my cats are the absolute loves of my life. I'll tell you. So while I was healing, all right, while I was on the mend, and I was very fortunate, spirit worked it out that I had like this part-time job that I can work from home. And because I wasn't a psychic yet, I didn't even know I was psychic. I could have this part-time job online that I could work from home. And when I told them that I was ill, they said, "You can work whenever you can." That was amazing for a whole year. So that was, and it was a very interesting time, because I immersed myself in YouTube videos, and I learned everything about, not everything, but I learned a lot about binaural beats, about energy healing, meditation. I used it constantly. And I heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and there was only one, probably a bootleg meditation of his on YouTube. I use it all the time, about "You Are the Placebo." And I started just binging on, people that I was really drawn to. So, Abraham Hicks, Cry On, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Please, children, stop. They're wrestling. They're very perfect. You might be able to hear them in the background. Stop. Megan, and pause. Show offs. But so I would lay down sometimes on my floor next to my subwoofer and put on the binaural beats, and I would let the sound wash over me. Now I realize now everything I was doing innately. I was just knowing
that vibration of healing power.
And then I started speaking. Oh, and Louise Hay started speaking words of love over my body. "I love you, Spleeny." I would go from head to toe. "I love my healthy eyeballs. I love my healthy ears. I love my healthy spleen," And so I'll tell you what, when I went, so after the 6 months of chemo, I finally, I put off the last one for a while because I really didn't want it, but I allowed myself to be pushed into it. Whatever, I did it. But then when he said, "Well, now I want to put you on maintenance chemo," and I said, "No, that's where I draw the line. We're done. Whatever happens now, it's all going to be natural." And by this time I'm doing smoothies every morning, chopping up my organic vegetables and stuff and putting them in the blender and letting go. At this point, I don't eat meat at all, but at the time I still ate some chicken sometimes, or some fish. No. And then I just kept cleaning up my diet and cleaning up and doing things that I believed. That's what's important. What I believed was healthy for me. Mm-hmm. And a year later, Julie, I went to this doctor, and I didn't go to anything in the meantime, but a year later I went just for one more blood test. And he looked at my report and he goes, "If I didn't know that you had cancer and chemo last year, I would never know." Gone, done, healed, healthy. Healthy, just healthy. Stage 4 splenic marginal zone. And my spleen, and he offered to take it out. And I'm like, no, we've been together a long time. No. And, I've heard Cryon, channeled by Lee Carroll, say that I think it was Cryon, that as long as you have the organ in your body, it can heal. Or maybe it was Dr. Joe. But if the organ is still there, it can be healed. And so it is.
Exactly. Yes. Our souls are so powerful, so much more powerful when we ourselves are powerful, more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. All you have to do is allow.
Yes.
Right? It's that shift when you knew you had to get rid of everything that was toxic and allow the healing in all parts of your life, right? Physically and emotionally.
Oh, all parts. And I'm still going through healing. I think that's an ongoing process, but I have released so much. And I asked myself, why did I get it? Because I was already on a healing journey. So why did I get this cancer? I had already manifested it. I wanted to be dead. I told Spirit 1,000,000 times, I just want to die. I tried to die. I wasn't ready to go yet. It wasn't my time. And then I used to have, like a lot of whatever. I used to have issues with my body wanting to be skinny, and I wasn't. That at one point I was extremely heavy, and so I would talk badly about my body and my stomach and all the things. I manifested this stuff, and I didn't speak my truth. That's what's really important. That Spirit was saying, you've been stuffing this stuff down. You've been letting people say whatever they want or whatever, and you just kept trying to make everything okay, and just stuff down what you really feel. Because if you say something, listen, I mean, we had a nice 2-bedroom condo with 2 cars and a dog and a cat, whatever, it was, and then to get rid of, I had to sell my car. I had to be like, I went to soup kitchens sometimes. I went to food pantries to get groceries. I mean, I had to let go of everything that I thought mattered, and including all the material things. And it meant nothing. And it doesn't, now nothing means anything to me more than my own relationship with Spirit and my relationship of course with my furry kids and the beautiful souls that I'm meeting, like you and Kimmy and my other awesome friends from my group too, which a lot of you are in my group. And I invite you all to join my group, High Vibrational Mastery.
It's a wonderful group.
The group on Facebook. And I'm just really grateful. I'm sorry about the camera. I am really grateful to Spirit. Please fix that. I'm really grateful to be here and to be alive and to be able to speak my truth and to live my truth. And because of everything that I've experienced in my life, mental illness, narcissistic abuse, cancer, all that shit, I don't have a concern about what other people think of me. I mean, okay, I guess that wouldn't be entirely true, but I have no problem being myself. That's what I mean. I am 100% into being me, and nothing anybody feels about me is going to make me change who I am. And nothing if somebody wants to try to pressure me to be or do something or get this or do that, because because, and you know what? Most people don't even try to do that anymore. You start attracting people that resonate with who you are. Exactly. And when you're standing, right? Yes, and when you're standing in your truth. Yeah. So the people that resonate with me now that I attract into my world are people that do honor who I am and validate who I am. There's not a single person in my life that would speak to me and invalidate me. And in this healing, Julie, I reconnected with my beautiful brother, my biological brother. We had been disconnected for 10 years or so, and we never had a close relationship. And now we're developing a close relationship. It's building. We're working on it. We're
in divine timing, right? Yes.
And the relationship with my mom before she died, like for the last few years, we totally healed that. And while she was transitioning, I was able to see her, even though it was COVID in February. And they double masked me my friend Diane drove us down there to Fort Lauderdale, and I went to see her in person. And I sang her one of her own songs. She's a beautiful poet and a professional songwriter. And I sang her music to her, and I read her poetry to her. It was amazing. I had total closure. So life is pretty great.
It is. Oh my God. And, and you have that great energy about you. You spread love to everybody, and it's powerful. When you speak, it's powerful. People hear you because you are speaking your truth now. Yeah. And so please, I know you also, you're a very powerful healer. So please let people know that they can come and get healing, give healing, whatever it is they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited. I mean, if anybody wants to, contact me, book a reading, I'm actually doing Friday night psychic reading parties. It's been fun, like a maximum 10 people doing it in Zoom, Julie.
Amazing.
So much fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. I have some people that are coming back every week now, and I'm like, this is great.
Yes. So, and tell us your website, and tell everybody where they can find you again on Facebook.
highvibrationalmastery.com is my website. It doesn't show all my services at this time. If you inbox me directly on Facebook, which is C. Megan Michael, just like my name is right here, then I'll be glad to speak with you and see how I can best serve you. Again, I do readings, energetic cord removals, healings, coaching, and if my story resonates with you and you feel that I can be of assistance, then I would love to. Because that's my life is now in service of humanity, all consciousness, including animals and trees and everything else, but all consciousness, humanity, and spirit, because that's where my focus is right now, as I channel the divine all the time in my regular life. So if anybody's going through, thank you, Julie. I want to just say one last thing, that if anybody's going through like a lot of trauma or something right now or whatever, and I know the world is in general, it's still, you can be calm in the midst of chaos. You can choose to be happy. You can choose. If I focused on being sick when I was sick, I wouldn't be here. I focused on being well. I had to totally change my mindset, and it's really important to know that it's all perspective. It's all your perspective, and just coming from love, and then having amazing people in your life like Julie, Adreani, Kimmy, Angelique. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. Well, you are such a motivational speaker, and I want to thank you again. And everybody, if you're not a member of her High Vibrational Mastery group, go ahead and join, because she has so many wonderful things going on, and she shares and gives so much of herself every week.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you, Megan, so much from the bottom of my heart for being so genuine and sharing so much, because I know it's going to help so many people.